Fear is a powerful thing. It can silence voices before they are even heard, and it can turn dreams into something people are afraid to talk about. Sometimes fear becomes so normal that people forget life can be different, that another reality is even possible. But every once in a while, fear meets courage. Not the kind of courage that comes from power, status, or strength, but the kind that comes from belief. The quiet kind of courage that grows inside someone who refuses to accept injustice as normal. This is the story of a young girl who believed education was a right, not a reward. This is the story of Malala Yousafzai. Malala was born in 1997 in Pakistan's Swat Valley, a place once known for its beauty, mountains, and peaceful way of life. Children went to school, families lived simply, and education was part of everyday routine. Learning was not controversial, it was normal. Malala's father was a teacher, and he believed deeply in education. He believed that girls deserved the same opportunities as boys, and inside their home, books were common and questions were encouraged. Malala grew up in an environment where learning was valued and curiosity was never discouraged. For Malala, going to school felt natural. Learning was not a struggle or burden. It was something she loved. She dreamed of becoming educated and helping others do the same, never imagining that something so simple could one day become dangerous. As Malala was growing up, however, the world around her began to change. Extremist groups slowly took control of the Swat Valley, bringing fear with them. They created strict rules about how people should live, what they could wear, and what they could listen to. Then came the rule that changed everything. Girls were no longer allowed to go to school. At first, people were confused and unsure of what would happen next. Soon, schools began closing, some were destroyed, families were warned, and fear became part of everyday life. Parents were terrified, not because they didn't value education, but because they were afraid for their children's safety. Sending a daughter to school no longer felt like a simple decision. It felt like a risk. Malala watched her classmates disappear from school one by one. She saw classrooms grow empty and dreams slowly fade away. Even as a child, she knew something was deeply wrong. She felt fear, but she also understood that silence would change nothing. At just 11 years old, Malala began writing a diary under a pen name. She wrote about living under fear, about missing school, and about her desire to keep learning. Her words were simple, honest, and brave, and they were shared with the world. People listened not because her writing was polished or perfect, but because it was real. Malala did not speak like a leader or a politician. She spoke like a child who wanted an education, and that honesty made her voice powerful. Soon, Malala began speaking publicly alongside her father. She gave interviews and repeated the same message again and again. Girls deserve education, girls deserve a future, and girls deserve a voice. But courage has consequences, and threats soon followed. Warnings were given, fear surrounded her, and danger became constant. Still, Malala refused to stop. In 2012, while returning home from school, she was attacked for speaking out. The news shocked the world. A young girl targeted simply for believing in education. Malala survived. And in surviving, something unexpected happened. The attempt to silence her only made her voice louder. Her message traveled farther than ever before, reaching people across the globe. During her recovery, Malala did not step back or choose a quiet life. She chose purpose. She continued her education and continued speaking, not with anger, but with clarity. She spoke to world leaders, addressed the United Nations, and reminded the world that millions of children were still being denied their right to learn. In 2014, Malala became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner in history, not because she chased fame or recognition, but because she refused to accept injustice as normal. Her strength never came from being fearless. It came from feeling fear and moving forward anyway. She didn't wait to be older, more powerful, or more prepared. She didn't wait for permission. She believed that one voice matters, and she proved it to the world. Malala's journey did not end with awards or speeches. Those moments were never the destination. They were tools to reach others. Even today, millions of children wake up wanting to learn but are told they cannot because of fear, poverty, or traditions that deny them opportunity. Malala speaks for those children, not as a hero standing above them, but as someone who once stood where they stand. She understands what it feels like to love learning and be told you are not allowed. Her story reminds us that change rarely begins loudly. It begins with a quiet decision inside someone's heart, a decision to say, "This is wrong," even when staying silent feels safer. Malala did not wait for the world to be ready. She spoke while the world was uncomfortable, while fear was real, and while the cost was high. That is what makes her courage different. It was not built in comfort. It was built in uncertainty and risk. And that is why her story matters to us. Not everyone faces the same danger, but everyone faces fear in some form. Fear of speaking up, fear of being judged, fear of failing, or fear of standing alone. Malala's life shows us that fear does not disappear first. Action comes first, and courage follows. You do not need to be famous or powerful to make a difference. You do not need a title or a platform. Sometimes, all it takes is the willingness to stand by what you believe, to ask questions, or to continue forward when stopping would be easier. Malala's story is not just about education. It is about dignity, choice, and the belief that your future should not be decided by fear. One voice can feel very small in a loud and powerful world, but one honest voice can travel farther than fear ever can. Malala was once just a student who wanted to go to school, and that simple wish changed the world. Her story teaches us that courage does not belong to the fearless. It belongs to those who choose hope anyway. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is believe that your voice matters too.